welcome back to my channel if you are a loyal subscriber, and hi to all the new subscribers. Over the past few weeks, I have to say my subscriber list has gone up and up, and I'm so grateful for you guys that are watching. I think it's the house videos you guys have been loving, and I'm glad I was able to give you something that you love. A lot of people have been asking me so many questions about how I even got this house, and what steps you have to take, and a lot of you are interested in also getting onto the property ladder. So I knew it was definitely time to film a video on how I did it. Now, I did attempt to film this video over a week ago. I tried to get back to it a few days later. However, on rushing home to put my makeup on and get myself to look almost identical to what the footage looked like, I dropped my camera and the lens just stopped working. So at the moment, I'm actually using my mum's Nikon camera that she just purchased just to, take pictures and stuff when she's on holiday. She just got back and picked up my dog. And I said, oh, have you got your camera on you? Because I'm desperate to film. Actually, I've been looking at the footage down there and I'm looking at myself now and it looks so flawless. This camera is not as good quality as my camera. So I do apologize if the quality is not great, but I'm gonna try my best. Today's video, because so many of you have been asking, is a how-to, loads of tips and kind of a bit of insight into my journey into getting to this place where I am now, because so many of you guys have been asking. I would definitely recommend getting a notebook and pen if you are somebody that is planning to buy a house and you just want some tips. Get comfortable because I'm gonna chat away. This is like my favorite topic. If I can do this, you guys can all do this too, but you have to be disciplined enough and you have to stick to it and keep the goal in mind. And the first thing that is like so important when it comes to purchasing anything of value, of anything that is expensive, is to save. I had trouble saving over the past few years, but I've always been a saver because I've always been a worker. I've always worked since 16 and that work ethic never left me, and I always wanted nice things, but I never actually really treated myself to them. So when it was time to really get down and serious and save for my house, I didn't miss out a lot in terms of shopping. I'd always look for bargains, and my vice was going out to eat and cocktails and drinks and that sort of thing. That had to go down for a little while. I mean, for the past 2 years, I would say, yeah, I haven't done it as much. That if you are somebody who is serious about buying a property, there are things that you have to cut out. Bare essentials, you need to know what the figure is that you want to save each month. Be realistic as well. Don't say you're gonna save all of your wage, because you won't do it. And then that's when the spiral effect happens, when you start dipping into your savings and then you just keep doing it and keep doing it. And then you say, oh, I'll just put it back next month. But you don't ever do that. So discipline is key. Keep a minimum amount that you will put away every month, and if you can do more that month, that is a bonus. But do not always push yourself to do too much, because that may backfire. Another recommendation is to check out some savings accounts or ISAs. Various banks are doing Help to Buy ISAs, especially for first-time buyers, people like me and maybe some of you guys. A lot of people have asked me, like, how much do you save to buy a house? Well, that's all relative. It depends on how much the house is that you are planning to buy and how much deposit you need. So with that, once you have saved, you really need to start researching. And that is the second essential, to be honest. The saving and the research go hand in hand, because you can't get a house without either one. So researching and really thinking. Now, a lot of people want to buy a house and they love the idea of having their own place. You really need to get real and question yourself as to whether you are actually ready and in a position to do that right now. There is no rush. If it is for you, after a lot of thinking and checking your finances, do you have a stable job? Does your job pay well enough for you every month that you'll be able to afford your mortgage and bills and anything else that may pop up like repairs? Who knows? It would also be good to kind of get yourself in a routine of paying things now. If you are somebody that lives at home, are you helping your parents? Are you paying them rent? Are you paying for things monthly? It would be really good to get yourself prepared and ready for that, because that's what I was doing over the past 2 years. I was paying for things every single month. So the transition from where I was a few months ago to where I am now hasn't been too much and too crazy and scary. What is your budget? What are you looking for? Is it a flat? Is it a house? How many bedrooms is necessary? What areas are you looking for? And think about the areas really carefully, because a lot of people do obviously want to live in London. I was born and bred in London, but my attachment with London left me when I went off to uni in Birmingham, and I work in London, but you can live on the outskirts of London and get into the city quicker oftentimes than you can if you even live in London. So I live on the outskirts of London, and yeah, it's worked perfectly for me, and it's about what you get for your money. So think about things like that. Have a look online, you know, property websites and all of those places, and see what the sort of prices are in certain areas that you may be of interest in. And then you go from there. Credit history sums up how you deal with paying things back, such as your phone bills. I don't know, maybe you have like a store card. Are you paying that off? Are you paying off your credit cards? All of these things can implement your credit score in a positive or negative way. And of course, the higher the score, the better it is for you to get accepted on a mortgage, and Bob's your uncle, you can get a house. If you know you have low credit, then you need to work on building your credit, and I would say give yourself a few months to really build it by paying off the debts that you may have. It is also possible to have absolutely no credit, and that's what I had, because of course I was a uni student. I'd never had, you know, things out, I've never taken things out to pay back, I've never had a credit card, and blah blah blah. So the first thing you do need to do, guys, is get a credit card, and you need to really be serious about this. Next step that I took personally was I went to go and see a mortgage broker. I didn't go directly to one specific bank, because of course they're only going to show me what offers they can give me, whereas with a mortgage broker, they will often look at various banks and associations that you've never heard of before, and they can, you know, give you say 10 different offers rather than one specific offer. So I went that route, and I would suggest doing that also because they can really advise you, and you are paying them to do this, so make the most of their time. I pretty much went to my broker and said to him, this is the range, the price range that I'm looking at. How much do I have to have saved? I have this much saved already. How much more do I need? And what would benefit me in the long run? Because of course, the more you put down on a property, the less your mortgage payments every month will be. Hopefully, if you have a good interest rate. So mortgage brokers will really get you the right interest rate, and banks will kind of sell you what is good for them. A mortgage broker doesn't have an interest in that sense. They will get you the lowest interest rate, which is what you need. These are all things that you need to research. What are interest rates? What are deposits? How much deposit percentage do you need on a specific price? Once you have these amazing discussions with your amazing mortgage broker, you will then sort of choose out what bank or company you want to go with to get your mortgage from. And you do this before you find a property, I recommend, because you need to have a mortgage in principle. Now, my dad was shocked that I needed this so soon in the process, because back in the day you didn't need it until you were actually, you know, you'd chosen your property, then you would get it. But with the way things are now and the amount of people that are going for one property, you need as much behind your back as possible and as much preparation. So I did this. I got my mortgage in principle ready before I had even found a property, and a mortgage in principle is almost like a conditional offer, and the conditions are basically just you find a property with this price, and we are going to borrow you up to this amount of money providing you find the property that is this, and providing you have the deposit that you need to have for this property. So get that and you're good to go. It just went a bit crazy after that. My mortgage in principle lasts, I think they all do, last about 3 months, and then they expire and you have to apply for another one, which you probably get, but it kind of gave me a deadline of, in 3 months, I need to have a property, because I don't want to go and get another mortgage in principle. It was just me. It's not a bad thing if you do, but I was just kind of like, right, I'm determined. Every Saturday was viewings day. I would cancel plans with friends. I was not social on Saturdays. Saturdays were my viewing days. I would have my mum walk around with me. I would have my dad drive me around. I'd even have my boyfriend. At first, I was naive, and I thought I knew what I wanted. I thought this would be great, and I was looking for a new build, 1 bedroom, because I thought that is what my budget could only offer me at the time. And then there was this one property that I bumped into. Now, I have no idea why I fell in love with it, because it is like half the size of my flat now. and it was very expensive. My offer was accepted on this house. I had only been looking for about two to 3 months, and I thought, oh my gosh, I found one. And at the time it seemed like that was forever, and oh my gosh, but so many experienced people that I knew told me, like, trust me, finding the right place can take up to a year. And I was like, I don't have a year. I need to get into my place now. So I would say maybe I was desperate and naive, and I didn't really want to listen to my dad too much, because I felt like my dad was swaying me into areas that I did not know of and wasn't sure about, and I kind of had my mind set. So that's one thing I would say, is don't have your mind set unless you really have reason to, because I didn't have reason to. To be honest, I had never lived in any of the areas, but for some reason I was dead set on a certain area. The process is like this. You have your offer accepted if you're lucky, and you tell your mortgage broker. Your mortgage broker then contacts the bank who is offering you your loan, your mortgage loan, and then they will send out a surveyor to the property to value it, a valuer. They'll go to the property, walk around, make sure it is of the value that you have agreed to pay, and if it's not worth it, they will not borrow you that money. And that is what happened. They came back and said to me that the property was worth 20,000 less than I had agreed to pay with this lady. And usually in those situations you would kind of renegotiate, so the seller and the buyer will go back and forth. So we should have gone back and forth and come to some sort of arrangement, maybe meet in the middle or something. But this lady was like, no, I am getting this price, and I had to let it go, and it was really painful. I was really sad, but I just had to let it go and move on. I just remember praying every day thinking, I thought this was the one for me. I even started to like think of where I'd put furniture, because the flat was actually small. So I would think every single day and jot my ideas down in my trusty house notebook. Guys, get one of these. Thank God and good riddance. I think I paid around 350 to 400 pounds, and of course I didn't get that property, so I potentially could have lost that money. But I didn't lose it, because I had an amazing mortgage broker who claimed it back from the bank for me. So get yourself a mortgage broker. Maybe I should just look into being one right now. These are the sorts of things that you should be prepared for, honestly, and I wasn't prepared for it. But these things happen a lot. So I went back on to searching, and I started to lose a little bit of faith. I kind of just felt like, oh, is this ever gonna happen? Do I take a break? But if I take a break, there's gonna be loads of properties. I mean, I had so many alerts from different property websites. You could draw areas, you could have alerts for specific areas and tailor, like, you know, add filters to your price range or your area, how many bedrooms you want, all those things. I continued looking. I was up and down, I was happy, I was sad, I was angry, I was excited. And don't get me wrong, there were flats out there, but they always seem to have something not quite to my standard, and not in terms of decor, because that is not what I was looking for. I actually wanted something quite ugly that I could just transform. So it wasn't about how it looked, it was about what it offered me. And a lot of the properties that were coming up had very low leases, and that is something to pay attention to and run away from if the lease is low. A low lease would be, say, under 80 years. The reason why a lot of the properties on the market have low leases is because the owners just don't want to pay them, because it costs quite a lot. A good lease is anything close to 100 years or above. If you're above 100 years, you are good. You don't have to worry about your lease for a very, very long time. And if you're buying a house, you don't have a lease. You're not a leaseholder, you're a freeholder, so you won't have to think about that at all. That just means the years are just infinite, basically. Of course, I have a flat, so I have a lease, and I'm so lucky to have found a lease close to the 100s. But if you are looking at a property and it's lower than 80, it's not worth it. Let's say you did buy a property that had a lease of 80 years or lower, or even just a few higher. You buy it, you're the new owner of the property. You cannot pay to extend the lease until you're in the property for, I think it's at least 2 years. And every year, the years go down. So the more they go down, the lower the years are, the more it is to extend. And I'm talking tens of thousands sometimes. So it's not worth it. Keep looking. Other things that you may want to look out for as well, if these are important to you, is parking. Do you have designated parking? What is the area like for parking if you do drive? Is there a station walking distance away if you are a commuter like I am? Then of course that is very important, and I don't drive at the moment, so of course I am a Transport for London girl. And just transport in England girl in general. Other things such as the kind of heating, is it gas central heating, is it electric, is there double glazing, what are the bedroom sizes like and all the room sizes like, how much storage do you have? If you're someone like me, you will need a lot of storage. Lucky for me, both my bedrooms have inbuilt wardrobes, even though they're not enough. That's a start. And I have a few storage cupboards in my hallways, so that is all a plus. And I have a pantry in my kitchen. So these are things that you may not think that are important to you, but when you move all your stuff in and you realize there's nowhere to put it, that's when it becomes an issue. The things to look out for are the service charge and ground rent prices. These are added payments that you pay, I guess, towards the council, I think it is, or to the person that may own the whole building of the property. So that would be the freeholder of the property, and you will pay them a monthly sum, or you can pay them yearly, and that's on top of your mortgage, which you pay to the bank. That's hundreds more on top. And then you've got to think about your bills, guys. So this is what I'm saying. It's not an easy, cheap thing. And so if you are looking for a property, you really want to get the best bargain. You want to get a service charge that is low. You want to get a ground rent that is like 10 or 20 pounds a year. Something silly like that. Organization honestly is key. Every day, I had this with me at work and everywhere I went, just in case I needed to jot down some information. Often I would get calls from estate agents because I had signed up to various estate agents in different areas. I would keep the address, the price of the property, how many bedrooms it had, what the lease was, what the areas were like, how close they were to stations, the service charge and ground rent. So all these things I've been talking to you about before, I would keep in there. I'd also write down the dates that I would go and visit the property. All the information is in here. It's crazy. So one Saturday I went to see a 2-bedroom, and I had basically had my offer accepted the day before, but I told them that I just wanted to see the property one more time. I wanted my mum to see it because I had gone the first time with my dad. They agreed with me that that was fine, that it was currently, in my hands and I could proceed with it. However, the next day when I actually went to go and see the property, I left, I was completely satisfied with it, called them up and said, yep, my mum's happy with it, I'm good to go, let's start. They informed me that the seller felt like I wasn't sure about the property and decided to offer it to somebody else. That is how quickly the properties can go. And at the time I thought, no. This was my house. I really felt like this was the one because it was the first one I had seen that was a 2-bedroom, and to me, having only been looking at 1-bedrooms, it seemed so big and so amazing. And the second room was a box room, but I thought this would be amazing for a wardrobe / YouTube room. Wow, I could really actually have 2 bedrooms. It's in my budget. So I was devastated, absolutely devastated. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but I really wanna get into my flat before my birthday because this is what I've been praying about and this is what I really believe. I will have the keys in July, and time was ticking, and time goes very fast when you're, hunting for a house, believe me. And then there was one day I was staying at my mum's and I had woken up and I was just in the worst mood, but I knew I had some viewings I had to go and do with my dad. And I was basically trying to persuade my mum to get onto my side, to encourage me not to go, so then I could feel confident to call my dad and say I don't want to see those houses anymore. My mum was just like, are you crazy? You really need people that are really going to push you and encourage you at the times when you are at your low or you are feeling discouraged, because believe me, getting rejected is not an easy thing to deal with, especially in such a serious situation. I got on the train to this area that I was so against at the time and my dad was so in love with, and I got there, and when I got off the train I thought this place is really nice, but I'm not going to tell my dad that. We went to go and view the first property only to find that the estate agents had left before we got there. This property was a new build and it was a 1-bedroom. I really liked the pictures, so I really actually wanted this one, but I couldn't get into the building to see it. I was really annoyed, so because of that, I just thought I just want to go home. But my dad, as he does, always has something to do, so we went to home base and I started looking at the little home decor stuff, and I started to feel a bit more inspired because we had a gap. So we had another property to view, but we had like an hour, 2 hours in between, and they were in the same area. So we went to the second property, and I kind of had already made my mind up and thought, no, I just need to get back looking, or maybe just put an offer in on the first one even though I hadn't seen it. Don't ever do that. I was considering this until I walked into the property, and the property is the property that I'm in right now. I walked in here, guys, and I saw yellow walls, purple walls, blue walls, pink walls, brown carpet, blah blah blah. Behind me there was a budgie cage. Yeah, it was just completely different, guys, and you will see that soon. And I fell in love with it. I kid you not, I pictured this place just all white. I walked in here and I thought I could do so much with this. And the pictures did not do it justice. Every single room was bigger than I expected. Both the bedrooms are double rooms. Kitchen is big enough for a dining table. The bathroom is quite spacious. There's a balcony. It's bright and sunny, as you can see, and I just could not believe it. The estate agent did inform us that we were the first people of 9 to view the property that day, but for some reason I did not feel discouraged. I felt like this was for me. My dad turned around and said to me, "What do you think?" And I just looked at him like, we're about to fight for this one. So that's what I did. I fought. I gave my offer in and I had to wait by the phone. I was at work just constantly looking at my phone. And then I got a call from the funniest estate agent who was just like, "Okay, I've got some bad news." And I was like, "What's the bad news?" And he was like, "I'm afraid you're gonna have to speak to me for the next few months." But the good news is you've got the property. He informed me that I wasn't even the highest bidder on the property, but the reason they went for me is because I was prepared, because I had my mortgage in principle, I had my deposit ready and proof of the deposit. They will ask for that when you give an offer in. And they met me on the day and my dad and him talked about football, so it's always good to, you know, build a good rapport with the person that is showing you around, because they are heavy influencers in who the seller does choose, because the seller relies on them to say, well, who do you think is better? Who do you think seemed a lot more serious or a lot more ready? And in that instance, that worked for me. So I'll tell you what else happened after that. I sent in the surveyor. The surveyors came and they were happy with the price that we had agreed, so I didn't lose money. I did pay for it, but I didn't lose money on this one. And then I had to wait for 2 months, and those 2 months felt like so long, and then they just flew by because there were tenants living in the property, so the owners were renting the property out, and the tenants had a 2-month notice period to find somewhere else to move. So at first I was like, oh, but then I thought, actually, this could be good because I could get prepared now. I could start putting some money away, buy the immediate things I'll need, like paint and a bed and things that I know I'm gonna need straight away. I also had to think about my holiday that was coming up, so I needed to find some outfits. Once your solicitors have all the paperwork they need from you and they go ahead and discuss things with the seller solicitors, you agree on an exchange, and that's exchange of contracts. You don't do anything, the solicitors do everything on your behalf. And then you would agree a completion date. Remember I said to you guys that I really was determined to get into a house in July for my birthday. I really pushed and pushed. I wanted the keys before my birthday. However, I was actually on holiday on my birthday in Morocco, which you guys have seen. So the day that we got back from holiday, we literally drove straight from the airport straight to the estate agents, and I picked up my keys, and then we drove to the flat, and my dad and my uncle were here waiting outside for me, and it was just crazy. Like, so I had my dad, my uncle and my boyfriend all standing behind me just watching me open the door. So when we all walked in, I was just like, it's completely empty. I'm not just viewing it like a random person, it's actually mine now. All of these keys are mine. All of, you know, every single room is mine. I can walk into every room and not ask, oh, can I open, you know, the storage cupboard and see it? Because it was empty and it was actually mine. It was all worth it. Everything that I went through. I mean, I cried over houses, guys. I was discouraged, I was sad, but I went hard and I prayed, and I just knew that with the hard work I was putting in, I was guaranteed to get something out of it. There was no way that I was gonna, you know, save all this money, put my social life on hold, not buy those shoes and that bag that I really wanted to buy, use up all of my Saturdays to view properties and not get anything out of it. I was so determined, and I knew that I had to have this house. Where I can help somebody, I'm so willing to, because the journey that I had getting here was crazy. It's just amazing how things pan out. You kind of know in your heart that things are going to be great, but when you're faced with so much rejection and so much negatives, it is very easy to sort of, you know, lose sight of your vision. But it's about rebooting yourself and reminding yourself every now and then. Guys, I was obsessed with furniture. Listen, house, Pinterest, just Google in general, Next, IKEA, just anywhere that I could look for furniture and get my ideas out there. I was just looking. Home Sense and TK Maxx were my life. I would go in there and have a look. I even bought a few things like this pink chair. You guys can't even see the pink chair. Has been sitting in my mum's garage for about 4 months. My grey stool, the same. And you know, just keep yourself inspired and remember why you're doing it. I really hope you guys have loved this video, and I hope it's been a great help to you guys. If you have any questions that I have not answered here, leave your comments down below and I will answer them. Tweet me, Instagram me, follow me on Snapchat. Just everything. I'm here to help, and I look forward to seeing you guys very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this. Bye.